It's Monday, October 23rd, and it's like 2 something in the morning, almost 3. I was watching a tarot reader, and she brought up the fact that she lost her son. And it made me think about the 2 times that I was pregnant. And it was by the same person. And both situations, both times, I aborted a pregnancy. The first time was um, late term. The second time was really early. Like I knew instantly. Well, I knew instantly I was pregnant both times. Like literally. The second time felt like something popped. Like it felt like gas, but not really. I can't explain it. But the first time I knew immediately. Um, and how grateful that I am that I had those abortions. Even though I grieved and I was sad, I mean, you're carrying something that's literally like taking in what you're taking in, like you're carrying something that is utilizing your life force to grow. At some point, you're probably going to have some type of emotional reaction to it, and I did grieve. But looking back, like I automatically knew I didn't want the second one. I kind of wanted, but I was grieving, so I also wasn't thinking clearly. Um, I didn't want the responsibility of it was not for me. Still isn't. I like my peace and quiet. And that could always change. I could want kids down the road. I ain't birthing them. Adoption, foster. But the first one, I knew immediately I didn't want it. I said, mm-mm. He asked me, he said, well, what do you want to do? He's like, do you want to keep it? And I was like, and he was relieved too. And he was, but he deferred to me like both times. He was like, and he said that he would step up. But a big driving force, and I didn't tell him that until like we got into our like final argument, one of the final arguments. One of the biggest driving forces behind me not wanting him, outside of me not wanting to lose my freedom, because I enjoyed this. Oh, I enjoyed so much, but I didn't trust that he would step up. I didn't, because that was during the time when he lived in like a rundown house, and for me it was, if you couldn't step up enough for yourself. And I know being a parent it sparks something in people a lot of times, but I was like, if you couldn't step up for me, I didn't want to gamble. I didn't think he was adequate enough. I did not have faith in the fact that he was going to step up. And that's bad. You gotta have some type of, at least an ounce. The faith of a mustard seed. You gotta have something in your partner for it, because the person could absolutely step up. I didn't want to gamble with that. I didn't, and that was my intuition, because in those 10 years that I had known him, I had gotten pregnant a year into our official relationship. We had been friends off and on for like 4 years at that point. But 10 years that I had known him, what the fuck I didn't step up? It was a period when he had started to, you know, then the pandemic hit and he took a hard left like a lot of people did. But no. And that was already 5 years into our friendship, relationship, whatever, and he had not once stepped up. So it wasn't that I was going based off of, he had not once bossed up for himself or for me. You claim that I'm somebody that you possibly want to marry, and why would I, why would, anyway, but I am so grateful that I had those abortions, because I could not imagine parenting with that person. Once upon a time, I could have, you know, like the first few early years of knowing him, in terms of how he was, not what he had, but definitely how he was as a person. I could have seen it. I could have. Absolutely. There was even a period, maybe seven, however many years into knowing him, that I also could see it. The thing about it was, that wasn't consistent. There was never a long, consistent period where I was like, I could see me co-parenting with this person. I could see bringing life into this world with this person. Never. It would be like a few months. And it's wild. Some of the situations, it was out of his control. And I never like made him feel bad for that when it was out of his control. But there was long stretches of periods, like a year or two, sometimes 3 years, where things were absolutely in his control that he could have changed. It could have grown, and he didn't. I did not want to gamble with that. No, I didn't. And it was, I think he joined not the Marines, but one of them places. I can't think of what they call it. They're not quite the Marines. They're the Coast Guard, some shit like that, something like that. So that was his attempt, but he was not supposed to be there. That, no, no, he was absolutely too. No, he was not gonna fall in line, which is a good thing in my book. It's one of the things I liked about him. He did his job. You had certain rules that he absolutely would follow, but if you military shit was not for people like us. Hell no. Not for people who just want to follow just because, type shit. But no, I didn't have faith that he was going to. Absolutely not. I was just thinking about that. I was like, no, I didn't. I'm so grateful because had no the relationship already, and he was already stunted emotionally, already was not processing his pet childhood trauma or adulthood trauma or whatever, like, at all. um Few things is sparked, so showed a little bit of growth. I was like, okay, you've been processing that. But the big things, there was stuff that he had forgotten about because he had literally put in the back of his mind things that he had told me that he literally didn't remember that happened. And I was and when I found that out, I was like, and to think we could have had two kids right now. It's so important to because there's no guarantee that people are going to step up after they have children. Some people really do. Some people needed to have kids for them to step up because they needed that extra responsibility. And some people will say that and think they will and will shrink when that responsibility is in front of them because they're afraid of fucking it up. But instead of running full force into doing it, because it happens, but when you're dealing with a child, another living being, you can't be like that. So working on and growing through, even if it takes a while, growing through your childhood traumas and processing the things that you've gone through, I think should be mandatory before bringing kids into this world. And of course, it won't be mandatory. But I feel like if you are actively, actually, like, and some people process it through their kids in the best way. That's not always the case. People always try to say, "Well, when the kids is yours, you'll do everything." I've seen people have children and go the opposite route. They were somewhat responsible and they completely go backwards because they realize, oh shit, I'm in this for life. Like, there's no guarantee. It depends on the person. But to me, you have a stronger chance of not being like that if you are already starting to work through your childhood traumas and stuff. You know? But I'm not thinking about anybody else. I'm talking about me. I was not ready for kids. Hell no. And I'm still not because I want to live and I want to travel and I want to meet people, enjoy things and do things that having a child would absolutely get in the way of. Possibly I might be in my 40s or 50s before I take in a child. If I do. If but the way my life has been, I may have many children and they may not be mine. Okay, handshake. I may have many children and they may not be mine. I may be a mother or auntie or, a grandmother figure to other people's children. That may be my path, because I've been living in a coven, that's what I call it, with three other adults, and I've been playing mama for the last 3 years. Like sometime I'll cook and clean, I'll clean the house or whatever else. I do the majority of the cleaning or whatever, and I actually don't mind it. I actually like it. It actually makes me feel good, and it feeds my Cancer fourth house, my fourth house in Cancer, with the home and the nurturing aspect of it. I like that. But I also like being able to go after I'm done cleaning, like I did today. I vacuumed all the floors and things, clean the kitchen. Tomorrow I'm gonna do the baseboards and the walls. I'm in the mood to clean. But I also enjoy after that being able to go in my room, run my bath with my Epsom salt, and sit and take a bath and not have to worry about nobody calling me. And then the dog barks. Not have to worry about somebody needing something. Not have to worry about somebody needing a diaper change or needing to eat dinner. Because then I can come in here and lay out on my bed and not have to worry about another small human being that I have to care for. And I like that. That could change in 10, 20, 30 years. That absolutely can. But right now, I'm going to enjoy not being a mama, not being the mother of children. I am absolutely being selfish. And it has been the best decision that I could have possibly made for myself. Absolutely. I could not imagine, especially as much growth as I have gone through over the last how old would that child be? I got pregnant in 2015. I would have an 8-year-old right now. I could not imagine. I've grown so fucking much, emotionally and mentally. I could not imagine having a child. I just can't. So I'm grateful that I made that decision to have those abortions, because that gave me the fresh start, the start that I needed to grow. That, and literally my body, I don't think would have allowed me to carry those children, because I have a TMI, I have an Audi belly button. And the way that it is, the doctor said there's a very strong chance that I could have had because I had a hernia as a baby. So there was a chance that I could have another hernia, and it could be worse the longer my pregnancy goes. So I would absolutely have to get my see if surgery will qualify me to be able to give birth myself. So that wouldn't have worked. Anyway, I found that out when I was a child, because my mother went to go take me to see about it, and the doctor was like, yeah, there's always a possibility, but it'd probably be safer if you got the surgery done before getting pregnant, if you wanted to have children. He said, but right now it's fine. It's perfectly, I done had it 30 years. Ain't no problem. But, things work out exactly how they're supposed to work out. I could not imagine parenting with that child. No, the fact that came out my mouth, I did not, I meant to say with that person. But the fact that child came out my mouth, that's exactly what he was. He was acting like a fucking child, a grown ass child. He was a whole man acting like an actual child. I could not imagine if, and like I said, it's a gamble, because you don't know, that person could become everything that you need. It could become the perfect parent, the perfect partner, everything, but that's a gamble. And I was not in place to gamble at all. Because and that was also my intuition, the second go around when I was pregnant, I wanted to keep it. He tried so hard to convince me not to keep it. But didn't say, well, I don't want it. Because I asked him, I said, well, what do you think? Both times. I could have not told him. I could have very well have just went and gotten abortions, period, and I could have just not told him. But I wanted him involved. I was like, well, what do you think? And he immediately flipped it on why I was not ready to have kids because of the stuff that I was going through at the time. Not the fact that he didn't want to. I could tell. I peeped. While he was talking to me, I was like, "Oh, you're afraid because there's a chance that I might keep it, which means that you would have to step up and become a grown ass adult. You didn't want that, and that's fine. You know, it's your prerogative. But the fact that he flipped it, and I peeped when he said it, when he was talking to me, he flipped it onto me to make it seem like, oh, you know, you're going through so much, and you said yourself that you da 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 and blah blah blah, which was all true. But I had asked him what he thought and what he wanted. He would have never stepped up. He would have. It probably would have been years. So, you know, like the person get to 18 years old, and he would have been a good dad. Well, years ago, he would have been a good dad physically. Children always loved him. He was very nurturing in that sense, but actually stepping up to have to make money and take care of a child, I didn't have faith in him. Obviously, that was somewhat not true because the man is homeless right now. But I didn't have faith in him. And for me, if I don't have faith that something, I'm a very optimistic person. Very optimistic. I'm a Sagittarius. If I don't have faith in something that is going to work out, especially the older I get, the more confident I get, the more sure of myself that I get. I don't have faith that something's going to work out. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Every time I'm optimistic about something, it works out. Even if it's completely different than what I thought it was going to be, or even if it's not as good as what I thought it was going to be, it still works out in my favor. I was not excited about that at all. I didn't have faith in him. And I'm sorry, you gotta have faith in your partner. Unless you actually are intentionally getting pregnant so that you could be parent it yourself with your, what do you call it, village, or with the people around you. You gotta have faith in your partner. Because the way that he used to blow up at me and take his frustrations out at me, oh, that whole pregnancy and having a kid would have been hell. It would have been hell. And you should feel bad when somebody don't have any faith in you. Like, not in the sense of you're on a slow path. Some people are on a slow path, but when it comes to children, you can't be on a slow path. Not like, you got to be able to feed them and put a roof over their head. And I did not think that he could do that. I could. I have faith in myself. Like, maybe not emotionally. I was not emotionally equipped to have a child. Maybe not emotionally at that time, but financially, yeah. I had 100% faith that I can do it. I think the roles could have been reversed, but the way that he was reacting to me when I didn't even have a child, yeah, no. He would have been the worst partner ever. Especially over time, because there's been plenty of stories of men getting jealous of the kids and being mad that the mother is required to spend more time with the children, and but not doing anything to help lessen the stress or the time that the mother has to spend with the kid, like making it easier. No. Hell no. Mm-mm. No. And I'm so glad that there are certain situations that happen that make you take notice of those things prior, because there was somebody else that I could see myself co-parenting with and not being with them at the time. But then that motherfucker showed his whole ass, and that went downhill. Like, but I trust in my intuition. I will always trust my intuition because it is never wrong, ever. Had I not bit my tongue years ago with my ex, I probably, one, wouldn't have been with them as long as I was, and two, they probably would have changed a long time ago. Those are one of the two options that probably would have happened. Had I actually told them that they weren't up to par, had I not supported their mediocrity, they either probably would have let me go a long time ago, because the only reason why he was with me outside of having feelings for me was because I supported his mediocrity for so long, and he knew that nobody else was going to do it. That was on me. But had I been honest, he probably would have let me go a long time ago. Or two, he probably would have stepped up and done better. So I not only did him a disservice, but also did myself a disservice by not speaking my truth and being as blunt as I normally am. I allowed him to be mediocre. It was okay in the early 20s, mid 20s, because you're still trying to figure things out. He was already gearing towards 30 by the time I was in my mid 20s. So it's not the same. If we were the same age, you process things how you process them. But the fact that he was older than me, still making moves like he was 19 years old, yeah, no. Mm-mm-mm. You live and you learn.